Recorded live.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome once again to our 18th of 20 telewebcast to usher in the energies of the new Trecina, the new 13-day cycle on the Mayan sacred calendar. This is Barbara Sadler. I'm the hostess as well as the creator of the Mayan Cross website, www.mayancross.com, and the prominent provider of content on the Mayan Cross Facebook page as well. What we do every 13 days is reflect upon the energies of the last Trecina and then usher in the Nawal, or the energies that will predominate and influence the upcoming 13 days. This is one of the first. It is the first of the cycle. No, actually, I should say it's the second cycle, because the day is a cycle, a 24-hour cycle. Then we have the 13-day cycle, the 20-day cycle, and a number of other cycles that the Maya intermingle to create their view of the world. So let's just take a moment to reflect upon the last 13 days. Those energies are starting to kind of settle out now, start to dissipate as we bring in a new cycle. So I'd like to open it up to the group first off and ask what you noticed, how things manifested for you or for others that you know, or even in your communities, under the influence of the Nawal, or the deity, or the day sign of wisdom, Ahmak, which was the energy that just completed the 13-day cycle. So does anybody have anything to share regarding what they noticed about how that worked into their worldview over the last 13 days? You can either type it in on the chat or, give voice to it over the phone line.
Hey, BJ, this is Josh.
Hi, Josh. Good day. Good morning to you. So
Thank
far,
you.
so good. How about you? You're calling from North Carolina, right?
Yep.
Okay, great. So I always love it when you contribute. So what did you notice?
This has been a very, very powerful Trecina. I'm sorry, I'm hearing a little echo in my phone, so it's throwing me off a little.
Yeah, just go ahead and speak slowly and clearly, and I'm sure it'll be fine. I don't hear it, so.
Okay.
I do.
All right.
If you're not speaking, then you can mute yourself by pressing *6. And then when you want to speak, press *6 again to unmute yourself. That may do a little echo cancellation if you're muted. So So Josh, you're speaking, so you're unmuted. But anybody who's on the phone line that is not speaking, just press *6 to mute yourself. And then when you wish to speak, press *6 again to unmute yourself.
In my own personal life, what I've noticed with this Trecina, I've often read that the middle of the Trecina is what gives the energy, or that's one of the highest manifestations of the Trecina. And the peak of this Trecina was Akabal, the hidden things. And my family we just learned that my grandmother has leukemia. So that was a very, very strong persona for us. And in the physical world, thinking about Akabal, I know we're in the Achmak or the Keep Tracina, but like I say, focusing on the peak of the Tracina was Akabal.
Mm-hmm.
And something I noticed in the physical world around me was all these ant piles just started, rising up out of the ground during this Tracina. And to me, that was kind of like the hidden things surfacing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I took from it.
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, I really want to express my concern and my blessings towards you and your family for the condition of your grandmother. How old is she, Josh?
She is 78.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm looking forward to those years, and I know more and more people that are of, that are in that elder group. And, the little ant piles that you talked about, it seems like, all through life, at least the earlier stages of life, we've got the resilience to kind of dust those things off and just keep right on moving, right? But, it's the nature of the cycle that eventually things will come up. It's like, our physical bodies are like, we can liken them to an automobile. The older you get, the more issues they're going to
That's right.
But I think, I don't know how you look at it, but going through so many trials and tribulations myself and with other people I know of my age, I'm in my 60s, you kind of, as traumatic as these things are, and the Maya look at these the same way. At every challenge, every one of those ant piles is an opportunity to look inward. And there really isn't a lot of choice at a certain point in your life that you do look in to find the gift that's associated with that challenge.
I would say that following the calendar and understanding it really helps with situations like these to understand where it all fits in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I appreciate you letting me share that. And I'm going to mute myself now.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing that, because this Tracina, for me anyway, I haven't really paid any attention to what's happened on the world stage. I remember a few weeks ago really being aware of what was happening on that plane, and seeing all the consternation, all the hate, all the fighting and wrangling, and just the tension. What I noticed was the tension associated with that, and knowing that we are all one, and makes you realize that tension is part of you too. But then it seemed like for the last couple of weeks, things settled down. And even though for example, the economic and political concerns of this country were just postponed, it really did settle down the energy and give everyone an opportunity to take a sigh and relax a little bit and get back into a presence that was a lot more loving and forgiving, because that's really about all you can do with this stuff. You know, is relax, let go, take a deep breath, and, you know, come back to the moment.
Oh, yeah, I have to say that this Tracina really brought me back to ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's really all we can do, you know, and thank the goddess and the gods that we can do that, and the Nawals that help guide us there every day, every moment is really an important part of this philosophy. Smiling Butterfly wrote in that being a four wisdom, so your Tristina, I saw a lot of balance coming in for me, and that new teachings came in for learning balance. So what a gift that is, to know that your energy is influencing a whole 13-day period, and being able to leverage that in a state of openness and, you know, like, you know, we're all beginners, right? We're all still learning. And to have new teachings come in is, that's beautiful. I hope we could all have that happen when our Tracina is the Tracina that's, or our day sign is the one that's in the Tracina for that period of time. How about the concept of forgiveness and the Nawal Akhlaq? And that typically when I've been around the Sacred Fire with the elders, they talk more about forgiveness. They do refer to what Josh said in terms of finding the little things and finding the hidden things, because akhlaq is also known as the smoke that can obscure your vision. But forgiveness seems to be one of the predominant themes of that Nawal. Did anybody see or experience that kind of process come forward for them over the last 13 days?
I did.
Okay, do you want to share that?
Sure, it's Lisa. I had an incident that occurred a number of years ago with a person, and though I tried to forgive her then, I couldn't. But it turned out we were both at a funeral, and I approached her, and I asked her for forgiveness. I told her I had forgiven her, and I asked her forgiveness for holding on to my energy that way. The interesting thing was that she had no awareness of it. But I did.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt it. I was very conscious of the 13 days. And in that time, as you know, I've been sitting with the Day Lords. And so every day is even more poignant because of that, within a larger context of being in that place of Akmak. And so many good things have happened as well. People have been calling me for sessions out of the blue, like nothing I've done. Just asking.
Mhm.
I feel very blessed.
Yes, I can see. Things are clearing, huh?
Yes.
The smoke is clearing. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. And I think that's what can happen when, this tension that's pervasive around at one level of consciousness, the collective consciousness around the world. When that abates a little bit, for people that are operating on more than one dimension, it really helps propel us more deeply into the present. And when we get these sighs, because it's not a linear progression, it's up and down and up and down, and it's cyclical. But when we get these moments of just purity, wow, we can just really take advantage. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, and I'm very, very happy for you. It's, so many times when something like this happens and all the goodness starts flowing in and the abundance starts coming in, we just sit there kind of dumbfounded going, and I had nothing to do with it. Or did I? Oh.
But it's a presence of the day Lord, the Nawals.
Mhm.
That's what I felt.
Yeah. Well, with that, that's perfect lead-in, Misha. Thank you. Let's take a moment now to ground ourselves and begin to tap into the energy of Toch, which is known in the Mayan world, or often translated as the offering. So sitting tall and having a candle lit or some sacredness about you, whether it comes in the form of an object or being in nature or just in your consciousness. Let's just feel this energy that's coming up as the sun rises today. And thank you, Mother, Father, God, for the energy of Toch. From the heart of the heavens, the heart of the earth, the heart of the wind, the heart of the water. Let's call forth from the depths of our heart this energy of Toch. Let's call forth our grandparents, the past generations, our ancestors, all the souls of our group that help guide and influence our thoughts, our actions, and our deeds. That we know are about us and helping us find the highest possible expression of who we are meant to be in this lifetime. Be open to you for your guidance and love. And know that those little voices in the back of our heads, or those impulses and instincts that we have to do or to act certain ways, are really, most importantly, the communications from the other world. And we know that this blends with our own free will, our ability to make choices, to decipher all the inputs, and take action, make choices, all trying to do our best every single day, every single breath. And talk. It is you, the Nawals, that helps us remember to give thanks, to express gratitude and devotion and caring from the depths of our hearts for this experience, for your wisdom, for your guidance, for protection, for all of the things that you help us do here on the earth plane in our physical, material world. And it's talk that reminds us to make these offerings. And there are many, many different kinds of offerings to make for all different kinds of things. But if we don't express our gratitude, if we forget what the source of our wisdom, the wisdom behind our actions is, then we really have missed one of the finer and most potent points of existence. And this is how the Maya view our express purpose, a very important, mission critical, if you will, component of Mayan cosmology. So let's take a moment and reflect upon how we offer, how often we offer, when we do it, how we do it, and actually what we offer. And just take a moment to reflect within how prominent that is in our mentality, in our daily routine. And I always think about how I'm affected if I don't do this. If somehow this act, this consciousness, talk, slips away from me because I get caught up in all the other distractions that happen when the veil has descended. So we answer the question, why is it important to make these offerings? And for one, I would say that this approach to living enables us to be in constant surrender mode knowing that the unseen forces, the forces of nature, the influence of our ancestors, the awareness that first and foremost we are eternal souls who have chosen and negotiated to take on another incarnation. And approaching the day, approaching this Tristina, with this in mind, will immediately and constantly keep 1 foot of ours, at least 1 foot of ours, in the spiritual realm, which enables us to stay present, to communicate and take actions from the heart, from the soul. That's an entirely different reality, an entirely different approach to life than those who don't have this soul awareness and don't feel or express gratitude to all of those elements in the unseen world that keep us alive, that keep us vibrant, that give us hope and faith and open towards new possibility. So then the question is, what do we offer? How do we do this? I mean, what are the actual components of making offerings on an everyday basis? Would anybody on the call like to share how they enact this in the daily life? Any kind of ritual or element of consciousness that you deploy to keep you plugged in to the awareness of this reality. Would anybody like to open to that? Share with that? I'm wondering if we have Jose on the call now. Did Jose get into the call? Anybody? Okay.
No, I don't want to take up all the time on the recording.
I feel free. If no one else is speaking, I mean, now is the time to either type it in or talk it in.
Okay.
So feel free.
All right. Well, the first thing I do in the morning is greet the sun and thank it for coming again. When I see the moon, I talk to Mama Kia. I bless my food when I have my meals.
Mm-hmm.
I put offerings out into a little house I've created for the Nawals outside my house. I take some of my food out. Not every day. I forget sometimes, but when I remember, I do that. Whenever I feel that I am low for whatever reason, I recognize that if I can find gratitude for things in my life, it lifts my spirit. It puts me on a different frequency, if you will. And I feel
good,
good,
doesn't it? That's a very important point that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
That as soon as you bring this into awareness, you feel a shift in your own frequency.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do fire ceremony. And that's when I also thank the direction. When I'm working with my clients, I bless my mesa and elemental. I guess I'm living a lot of my work, my teaching. To the best of my talk. I'm doing my best.
Yeah, beautiful.
Thank you.
I've got guest 8 saying, I'm trying to decipher this a little bit. As you said, Dee, for example, last night, present to this 30-ish YO, I'm not sure what Y, a year-old Norfolk Island pine that I've raised from a sapling, felt and expressed love and gratitude to the tree. I love you. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you. Because I felt that. May sound odd, but true. So, guest 8, if you don't mind me commenting a little on this. Walking through the forest near my home with Tata Pedro, some of the biggest trees we have in the Midwest are there. It's an arboretum and beautifully cared for. And we were in the spruce forest. And he went from one tree to the next. I mean, he had to hug all of them. And it was as if they were people. I mean, what normal behavior that we see with people. And I expressed to him that here in our country, we think of the trees as our grandparents, as an incarnation of our ancestors. And he was so happy with that, because a lot of people don't know that this kind of awareness is present in our country. Maybe not within everybody. But to be surrounded by the love and the consciousness found in nature and with these beautiful trees it is a blessing. And you say it may sound odd, and to a lot of people it may be odd, but rather than caveat that, I think it's important for each and every one of us to know that the more that we can express at this level in an uninhibited way, the more likely it is that others who think that may be odd have an opportunity to change that notion and see it from a different perspective. That's just a side note. Smiling Butterfly 426 says, I start the day working with ceremony with a calendar of the Cherokee and Maya by lighting a candle and giving thanks. So a lot of us, I think, do start our day by invoking these energies, despite what kind of a night we had, whether it was a nightmarish toss and turn kind of experience or, a blissful sleep, no matter what. When you start your day, bringing in these elements into your being, into your consciousness, yourself, every aspect of you, your energy does shift. And you can end up, even if it takes 10 or 15 minutes, end up feeling very, very much a part of it all. And then guest 8 says, this from just listening to the moment, being moved in the moment by the tree, its presence, its companionship. I like that. Its beauty, especially after being outside for the summer. I'm loving that, thriving. And by the listening part, I mean that the nudges that come from out there and in here. So let's go to the next part of the question, which is what it is that we offer. And I'll speak to this from the Mayan perspective, and then if people want to add to this, in terms of what they've experienced with the Mayan approach to talk or other traditions, that's fine too. I'd like to submit that this process is omnipresent in every indigenous culture, every original culture around the world. This is a centerpiece. This is what we do, and it's the westernized mind, I guess you might say, the Occidental mind is how the Maya put it, is the one that's gotten away from this awareness and, forgets that. And because of that, they say that the Occidental people are living in the land of the dead, that they just don't have that vibrancy. They don't have that connection that comes from talk. So the Maya, in terms of the materials, the physical materials that they use to make offerings, I think the two most prevalent ones are colored candles and copal, or incense. And the candles are all color-coded. First of all, the colors of the four directions for them, which are red in the east, yellow in the south, blue, black, or purple from the west, and white from the north. And then they have these tallow-colored candles that are kind of like this creamy, kind of off-whitish color, and green that represents the forces of nature. Then they have baby blue for little boy or little masculine energy, and pink for the baby girls and the innocence of feminine energy. And depending upon, and in ceremony, what we do is use, if we're making an offering, for example, for toch, which is red, an energy that comes from the east, everybody around the circle, when it comes time to make an offering for toch or for noh or for imosh or any of the other Nawals that are red in nature, they will offer a red candle. See, what's another one of those? Reed, which is and I don't have them all memorized from the top of my head, but that's how we use it. And then when you come to like Kame or even Toch or certain Nawales that really, really connect in with the ancestors that are truly representative of honoring the ancestors or our personal ancestors, they may use a black candle or a purple candle. There are also, these colored candles are prescriptive in nature. So if you were to go to an Akhi with a personal concern, whether it, regardless of the nature of that concern, if you were, wanted extra amplification of your prayers for the health of another individual, or for the abundance of you and your family, or for a good harvest, or an auspicious planting, or any possible, a marriage, or a birth of a baby, any possible life event or life trial, the Akhi may prescribe that on a particular day, based on the calendar, of course, you may want to make offerings using this particular combination of colored candles. So each one of those candles has significance. And that, in a Mayan way, amplifies the possibility that the Nawals, you will get the Nawals' attention, and you will get the desired result. And you'll see in the shaman shops, I call them, all around Guatemala, big bunches of these candles that are all tied together. They're all made by hand, and they're all tied together in these bunches. And you buy them in bunches, and you'll see often at fire ceremonies, they'll put huge bunches down around the fire as part of the assembly of the offering that will be made throughout the course of the ceremony. So that's a little discourse on the candles. The other piece of it is the copal, the incense that is made from the tree sap of different kinds of deciduous and coniferous forestation that you find in Guatemala and in Mexico too, I would believe, and other places in the world. And each one of those has significance also. When in Guatemala, when we're actually doing the count around the fire ceremony for each one of the Nawals, you take, I'm trying to remember the name of it, I think it's called pum, that you take these tiny little pieces of copal that are about the size of a dime, and you put one of those in some kind of a basket or a bundle for each one of the numbers, 1 to 13, that you make for the count for each one of the days. So that's a definite part of making the offering for each one of the Nawals as you go through the count of days. The ceremonial fire itself is based upon these bigger chunks of copal that burn ever so sweetly, and they're laid out at the very bottom of the fire assembly, and they're added during the course of the fire ceremony as well. So those are the two essential components for a Mayan fire ceremony and making offerings. Just as an aside also, when I first met Tata Pedro in the United States, I noticed that he carried a little set of little birthday candles that we use, those little 3-inch, millimeter width sized candles. He carries them in his pocket so that and matches, so that he could do a fire ceremony on a sidewalk, on the spot, anytime, anywhere he felt so moved to do so. So that's not a bad practice either. It gives you a lot of flexibility for really sanctifying the moment and giving the offering, giving the talk in a very spontaneous way. So Michelle says, I made little sparky, jingly things to hang in my garden for the elementals and fairies. For the next batch, I'll try color coding. Yeah, nice idea. Nice. Let's see. He also says, Smiling Butterfly says, burning sacred herbs and candles bring in the energies of the ancestors, peace, balance, and unconditional love to all that we are related to. And this brings in kind of a more generic approach because the Maya use herbs as well. They use eggs. They use limes. They use chocolate and honey and sacred water and sacred tobacco. And from the Vedic fire ceremonies that I've participated in, they use gallons and gallons of ghee, clarified butter, and they will pour that into the fire, as well as herbs and substances that are indigenous to their particular part of the world. Native Americans, of course, I could say, do the same thing. And from an Inca perspective, they use the, is it called I want to say gazpacho, but that may be the wrong word. Maybe somebody could type that in if they know. But they make their offerings into these little ornate packages that have messages and herbs and leaves and flower petals and each one of those is just elaborate. Very much like the Maya, the more elaborate the offerings, the more eloquent the words, the more and the more decked out you are in your personal attire, the more likely it is that the deities, the Nawals, will see how much effort you are putting into the respect and showing and dignity for this process. And likewise then pay more and more attention to it. And that's why this ceremonial garb is just so incredible. You know, all the embroiders are hand embroidered. Each stitch of thread is color-coded the same way as the candles are. And the messages and the bequests are stitched into the fabrics. I've seen Tata Jose Sac in Guatemala, he's Quiche. He has a robe made out of velvet that has a full-length robe that has each one of the Nawals, the entire sacred calendar, stitched into it. That is phenomenal. I mean, it just takes your breath away when you see it. And wearing that, as well as, you know, layers and layers of jade and lapis and other stone necklaces. And for the head covering, you know, a lot of the Maya just, you know, it's actually rather downplayed compared to the rest of what they wear, but they just wear the suit, they call it. The suit is a square piece of cloth that's, of course, then loomed by hand with colors and designs specific to the tribe or the clan that they are associated with. And they just fold that in triangular shape, fold it over a couple of times, and then tie it in a knot at the back of their head. And as soon as they put that on, they have left the material world and they've stepped into the spiritual. And that's what gives them that spiritual authority. Because now they are then in the flow. And I don't know a lot about other traditions or religions and the spiritual nature of the headgear, but it seems that most of them have that, and that when you don that headgear, it does something to the energy that flows through you. So what else can we say about what we offer? We've got a couple of other questions to address this hour. Smiling Butterfly says, prayer bundles have sage, cedar, tobacco, sweetgrass, bearberry, colors that are used, and the elders will ask for a certain number of them for each ceremony done by the Native Americans. So a certain number of them, I'm not sure what you mean by that. A certain number of each one of those items has significance within the bundle, I would assume. Maybe you can chat the answer to that, Smiling Butterfly. So there is a definite connection between the intention, and the intention connects to the elaboration of the offering, the intention behind the word. And again, since the gift of speech is unique to our species, the Maya believe that language should be as loving and as flowery and as abundant as the gifts that you hope to receive from those requests and those petitions and those offerings. So we need to use those gifts. And that's why a Mayan fire ceremony may take 5 hours, because you've got all the elders, husband and wife teams usually, around the fire, at least 2 or 4 in each one of the directions. So that may be, 8 or 16 people making the offerings for each one of the Nawals. In the most eloquent fashion that they can, verbally as well as with material items. And it's work. You sometimes feel that it's work. To me, it's like, doing a day-long meditation where you can have moments where you're feeling very uncomfortable and staying in your head, the thought comes into your head, oh, I wish this were over, this is getting too much for me, that will be lifted in the very next moment by thoughts and feelings of and experiences of oneness and a connection with your ancestors and with the Nawals. And typically, at the end of the process, what you receive from the process will be commensurate with what you put into the process. And just capturing your presence for 4 or 5 hours at a shot like that is it can feel like work in moments, but afterwards, the feelings are just amazing. You know that you've done the work, and that you can sit back and just watch and observe and see what happens in your life to how this will manifest, how your intentions will manifest. And Smiling Butterfly, in answer to the previous question about the number of items, they sometimes ask a certain number for what you are asking them for, much like the Maya using the prayer or the request. Okay, and so the next part of the question is, when do we offer? According to the Maya, that's a pretty easy answer. Always, as so many of our guests this morning have said, always upon waking with the day, with the sun. That's the first step. And then, of course, throughout the day, as you are so moved. And the Nawal of the day sets the tone for the essence of the petition, for the essence of the kind of gratitude that you want to express. So it's an ongoing process. Every day, once a day at a minimum, twice a day as the sun rises and as the sun sets is optimal. And then throughout the day. And then, of course, at most auspicious times, like today, talk, and throughout this 13-day cycle, because talk will be a constant thread within our consciousness, you may find yourself making more offerings and feeling more present to talk and to the, respecting and honoring the fact that we have the intelligence to make offerings. And this goes back to the Popol Vuh. And in the Popol Vuh, they say in the very first few pages that the last version of humanity was eradicated. They met their demise because they didn't remember to make offerings. They took everything for granted and started attaching ego to the abundance that they were experiencing instead of giving credit and giving gratitude for what was due. So they ended up totally off balance and off the path, off the spiritual path, and therefore met their demise. So this version, our version of humanity, has the potential of learning from past mistakes so that we can stay on the path and continue to flourish and evolve as a species and as part of our planet. So that kind of addresses the question, what happens if we don't make the offering? What happens if talk is forgotten? And I would like to end the call. We're running a little bit over. Let's see what else we've got. Wooden mannequins. Yes, that was the previous version of humanity. Wooden mannequins. They didn't speak to their creator. They say this is where the monkeys come from. Yes, they're saying that, that version of humanity ended up kind of devolving and going off to live in the trees like monkeys. So The way I'd like to close is with a Mayan prayer. And we'll do the count. And I don't know if Josh is still on the call. Josh, if you would like to do the count using whatever Mayan language you know, I would welcome you to do that. It's unfortunate that Jose couldn't dial in. We get a message that says that he just can't get in with any success. And I don't know why that is, but we'll see if we can troubleshoot that issue and have him as a guest for another one of our calls, because we still have 3 more to go. Okay, so here's a little Mayan prayer to take with us today. So we'll take a breath, feel the fire within our bellies and in our hearts. And gazing at the sun, look here, Father Sun. It is me, a piece of the sun. I have come here this moment to ask to go inside your memory. I need your wisdom so that I can walk in peace and harmony on the earth once again. For I am the eyes that see as the Creator sees. I am the ears that hear as the Creator hears. I am the mouth that speaks as the Creator speaks. I am the mind that knows as the Creator knows. I am the heart that feels as the Creator feels. I am the soul that remembers as the Creator remembers. As in you, so in me, I am here and I am now. Gracias, Madre. Gracias, Padre. Gracias, todos los elementos de naturaleza.
Barbara?
Yes.
I just got a message from Jose on Facebook, and he wanted me to share his words.
Beautiful.
He says, "This is my word for all of us. In this time, the time is over. We need to take care of our children, to teach them the power of energy." And he's still typing to me right now.
Mm. Wow. Can you feel that, everyone?
And that fit in perfectly with what you said about being here now.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I have tears in my eyes. That rings so true.
We are one. That's our power. The children need to know.
Beautiful.
And I'm still waiting here.
There's so many ways to get a transmission across, huh?
Yeah. If we're all here for each other. We are one. That's our power. The children need to know about how to be spiritual children from the stars.
Is he still typing?
Yep.
Well, as he's typing, we can just feel connect our hearts to His. And to those around our planet, in our universe, in our galaxy, and everywhere that are around the sacred fire at this moment, making their offerings, expressing their gratitude.
And he says, with the remaining time, and I'll say it in Spanish because that's how he typed it. El tiempo que nos queda es para darle gracias al todo para nos vida, which translated is the time that remains is to give thanks to God for our lives. Gracias.
And we do this from the depths of our heart. And the ancient Maya, of course, as many other traditions, felt that the ultimate offering was our own blood.
He says to be happy with the family and to learn how to be one. This is our last chance to get our dreams of freedom and non-suffering. And he's still typing.
Can you type to him that we're nearing the end, and we're going to try to work with him to take care of whatever technical issue we had?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to lead the count, and we do the count 1 to 13 in order to take all of this energy that we've created together this morning around our virtual sacred fire and amplify it to the heart of the heavens, the heart of the earth, the heart of the wind, the heart of the water, and the heart of the fire. Unto, Kebto, Oshibto, Tahibto, Hobto, Wakito, Ukito, Washakito, Beleheto, Lahuto, Hulahuto, Kablahuto, Eoshlahuto. Muchas bendiciones a todos. Gracias. Matios, for all of your attention, for all of your love, for all of your caring, for all of your offerings. Till the next time, everybody, which is November 8th. It will be 1 each, 1 wind. See you again soon. Blessings and love to all of you. Goodbye.